It was a cold November evening in 1974 in London, when the peace of a quiet, upscale neighborhood was shattered forever. The residents of Lower Belgrave Street were accustomed to a certain level of decorum. But tonight, something was terribly wrong. A woman, frantic and covered in blood, burst out of number 46, screaming for help. Her name was Veronica Duncan, and what she had just witnessed would become one of Britain's most notorious and baffling murder cases. Inside the sprawling home, police discovered a horrific scene. The children's nanny, Sandra Rivet, lay dead in the basement kitchen, the victim of a brutal bludgeoning. But the intended victim, Veronica herself, was still alive, albeit injured. The immediate suspect was her estranged husband, a charismatic and influential Lord Lucan Richard John Bingham, the 7th Earl of Lucan. The couple was in the midst of a bitter and highly public custody battle over their 3 children. Friends and family would later testify that Lucan had become obsessed, convinced he was losing his children and his mind. The theory was simple. Lucan had intended to murder his wife, Veronica. He allegedly lay in wait in the darkened house, planning to ambush her. But on that particular night, the nanny, Sandra Rivet, had offered to make Veronica a cup of tea. It was Sandra who went down to the basement kitchen, not Veronica. In the dim light, Lucan, prosecutors argued, mistook Sandra for his wife and attacked her with a lead pipe. When Veronica came looking for the nanny, she was also attacked, but managed to fight back and escape. What happened next is what cemented this case in the annals of true crime legend. After the attack, Lord Lucan didn't turn himself in. He didn't stay to face the consequences. Instead, he vanished, utterly and completely. He drove to a friend's house in a borrowed car, wrote a few letters proclaiming his innocence, and explaining his version of events, that he had simply stumbled upon an attack in progress, and then he disappeared into the night. The car he was driving was later found abandoned near the coast, with bloodstains inside that matched both Sandra Rivet and Veronica. But of the man himself, there was no sign. A massive manhunt was launched, but Lord Lucan had seemingly evaporated. This disappearance sparked one of the biggest mysteries in modern British history. Where did he go? The search for Lord Lucan went global. Sightings were reported from all corners of the world: Australia, South Africa, India, even living in a former Nazi commune in Paraguay. Friends of the wealthy Earl were accused of helping him escape, of creating a sophisticated network to hide him from the law. The old boys network of the British aristocracy was scrutinized, with many believing his powerful connections had spirited him away to a new life under a new identity. But every lead, every supposed sighting, turned into a dead end. Back in England, the legal proceedings continued without their main suspect. In 1975, an inquest jury officially named Lord Lucan as the murderer of Sandra Rivet, a rare and dramatic step. It was the last time in British legal history that an inquest jury was allowed to deliver a murder verdict. For years, his family maintained his innocence, suggesting he had taken his own life out of despair and shame, unable to face the accusations. His children were torn, with his son George believing his father died by suicide shortly after the murder, while his wife Veronica was convinced he had escaped with the help of his friends. As the years turned into decades, the story of Lord Lucan only grew in fascination. Was he a cold-blooded killer who used his privilege to evade justice? Or was he a desperate man who, in a tragic mistake, panicked and fled? The lack of a body and the endless speculation fueled countless books, documentaries, and conspiracy theories. People claimed to have seen him working as a waiter in San Francisco, playing poker in Las Vegas, or living a quiet life in the Swiss Alps. One particularly wild theory suggested he was fed to the tigers at his friend John Aspinall as private zoo. Aspinall himself fueled this rumor, once cryptically telling an interviewer, "The tigers and I know more about it than anyone else." In 1999, Lord Lucan was officially declared legally dead, allowing his estate to be settled. But this did little to quell the public's curiosity. The declaration was a legal formality, not proof of his fate. Even his own son couldn't inherit the title of Earl until a formal death certificate was issued. It finally came in 2016, over 40 years after he vanished. A high court judge issued a death certificate, officially closing the book on the life of Richard John Bingham. His son, George Bingham, finally became the 8th Earl of Lucan. For the family, it was a moment of closure, a way to move on from the shadow that had hung over them for a lifetime. But for the rest of the world, the mystery endures. The case of Lord Lucan is more than just a murder mystery. It's a story about class, privilege, and the tantalizing possibility that someone could simply step out of their life and never be seen again. Did he manage to pull off the ultimate disappearing act, living out his days in anonymity? Or did his life end shortly after Sandra Rivets, his body lying undiscovered in the English Channel or some other lonely place? The sad truth is that at the heart of this glamorous and mysterious tale lies a tragic, senseless death. Sandra Rivet, the 29-year-old nanny, was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. Her family has never had the justice of seeing her killer face a trial. While the world remains fascinated by the Phantom Lord, Sandra's memory is often overshadowed. So, what do you think happened? Was Lord Lucan a cunning fugitive who outsmarted the world, or a man who met a grim end shortly after committing a terrible crime? The lack of concrete evidence means we may never know for sure. And perhaps that's why this story continues to captivate us. It's a perfect, unsolved mystery, a chilling reminder that sometimes the truth can disappear along with the person who holds it. Thank you for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as I did, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into history's greatest unsolved mysteries. Let me know your theories in the comments below. See you next time.